In this era of college football, where everybody has so much to say about Coach Prime and what he's doing at Colorado, one head coach in North Carolina's Mack Brown offered some advice or a point of view on what he thinks is the best way to go about coaching in this modern era. So I'm going to talk about that and more on today's episode of Locked On Buffs.
You are Locked On Buffs, your daily podcast on the Colorado Buffaloes. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, everybody? This is Locked On Buffs. I am your host, Kevin Borba. Today's episode, lovely Monday episode we got going. We're going to be talking about Mack Brown's advice for not really Coach Prime, but kind of Coach Prime in a way, and all coaches in college football. We're going to be talking about Pac-12 expansion, programs that are wanting to get in and what to make of what's left of this conference, and then things to watch out for fall camp for Colorado because it starts very soon. So without further ado, I want to thank you guys for making Locked On Buffs your first listen every single day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcast, your team every single day right here. Okay. Over the past couple of days, which I think college football has kind of been distracted by the fact that things are changing again. Conference realignment is happening. Colorado to the Big 12. If you didn't know, go check out my past two episodes that are both about it. Colorado's off to the Big 12. Arizona might be following them, or it might be UConn who joins the Big 12. Florida State, not happy in the ACC. Maybe they end up somewhere else. But either way, ACC Media Day was actually taking place not too long ago. And Mack Brown, who one of the oldest coaches in college football, might be the oldest coach in college football, I don't know. He's had 33 seasons in college football as a head coach. So he's kind of seen a lot, college football can change a lot in 33 seasons. I think college football, even college football changed a lot from my senior year of high school, which was 2017 till now. So to say that he's probably seen a lot would be an understatement. He was talking about kind of how it's changed and what his advice to younger coaches in this modern era to, how they could fix things instead of, kind of, I guess, complain, because I feel like a lot of coaches nowadays, and I feel like it's always been a thing, but especially now with social media and stuff and more outlets covering coaches and college football, I think they kind of like to air out their dirty laundry, air out their complaints about whatever it may be. And Mack Brown has some advice for it. And he mentioned Coach Prime as someone who used this method, not the one that's complaining, but the one that is just there to fix things. So he said, I think this advice I would give to anybody, because I don't need to give Deion advice. He's a Hall of Famer as a pro football player, a great player in college. I've coached against him, so I know how good he was, and he did such a good job a great job at Jackson State. I think that's the thing that I would tell any young coach is to do what you think is the right thing to do, treat players right, show integrity in the game, and be positive. We've got so many negative things in our world right now. I'm one of those guys who likes to be positive about everything, be realistic, and understand what we got to get done. But don't sit around and gripe about everything. Fix it. And Deion seems to be one of those guys. Obviously, Colorado last year, not great. Not great at all. There's a reason Coach Prime is here. There's a reason Carl Durrell is no longer here. He continued saying, I think when people ask me after 5 years out of what is the biggest change when I got back to college football, because obviously was fired at Texas or left Texas and then went to TV for a little bit. Said the biggest change was early signing day, because you're having official visits now in spring and guys are committing. And in the past, if you think about it, we'd have guys officially come to a couple of games and then you had January to have official visits, and then they would all sign in February. Brown said that's now all happening, recruiting guys from the class of 2026. And so everything is just sped up. And then you add NIL, things are changing. I think that his advice, though, and I like that he mentioned that Coach Prime this doesn't apply to him, but I like that he mentioned him because I think so much of the talk around Coach Prime has been he's changing things. He's not doing it the right way. He's doing things in a way that I wouldn't do, not me specifically, but other coaches, they're like, I wouldn't do that. And so I think Coach Prime has kind of been the college football punching bag in a way. I think for every time he brings positive attention to Colorado or positive attention to the sport, there's a few coaches lined up ready to disprove everything he's done. And I've talked about it before. Everybody has their different opinions as to why. It's because he does things differently than what they're used to. I think they kind of want they wanted him to come in, take that roster, turn it around, and just coach them up, and like it was a Disney movie, like Coach Carter, or I don't know, Remember the Titans back in the day, where you just coach this ragtag group of guys up, and everything's going to work out. And that's just not how it works out. This isn't the Bad News Bears, you know? And so I think Mack Brown's advice is I think it's good advice, because I think coaches need to kind of just figure things out rather than figure out ways to kind of bring attention to their problems before the season even starts. Because some coaches, haven't seen Coach Prime do this at all, and I'm actually impressed by it. They've already have like built-in excuses heading into the season. Some coaches will talk about, our offensive line's a little banged up, or our whatever is inexperienced. Our quarterbacks, say, for example, our quarterback's inexperienced, not sure how it's going to work out. Coach Prime has been pedal to the metal. He hasn't wavered about anything that he's done, and other people have called him out for it, because it feels like he gets called out just about every day. Not just because I do a podcast every single day where I'm like looking for things to talk about every day, but I feel like it's readily and available where someone has talked about Coach Prime and what he's doing and why they disagree with it. And so very interesting to see this approach. I'm happy to see, because this is now the third coach, and I would say, sorry, my allergy season. This is the third coach in at least a week that's come forward and kind of supported Coach Prime. It was Lincoln Riley, it was Mel Tucker, and now Mack Brown. And so I think a lot of these guys coming forward are showing new age thinking. Which is it's kind of funny that Mack Brown, who's probably the oldest coach of college football, or at least up there, has a newer mindset in terms of how things should be done, which obviously it's kind of an old mindset as well. It's like a mix in between the two. But if you're Coach Prime, I don't think Coach Prime really looks into like who's supporting him and who's not, but I think you got to appreciate the little things like this, because for every Coach Brown out there that's supporting him, there's a Matt Rule or a Pat Narduzzi. So great advice from Mack Brown. I think Coach Prime is going to be if he has problems, he's not going to complain about him. He'll probably just try to work through them and make things work. That's what he does. You guys know this episode is brought to you by eBay Motors, one of our best sponsors, I think. For a championship team, it's all about making sure every player is the perfect fit. It's the same when it comes to your vehicle. Every part needs to fit just right. So the next time you need parts and accessories, head to eBay Motors with eBay Guaranteed Fit. You can be sure every part you need fits right the first time around. Just add your ride to My Garage and look for the green check to know the part will fit, or your money back. Because just like in sports, confidence is the name of the game. And when you shop at eBay Motors, with over 122 million parts to choose from, you'll be back in the game in no time. After all, it's easy to bring home a win when the right parts are guaranteed. So get those right parts, the right fit, and the right prices over on ebaymotors.com. Let's ride. eBay. Guaranteed fit, only available to U.S. customers. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. Okay, we're back. We're talking Pac-12 expansion. I think this is obviously Colorado's off to the Big 12, but I think you guys will still be interested to talk about what's happening with the Pac-12. If you're not, well, I am. No, I'm just kidding. I think there's a lot to look around in college football, because we're kind of nearing our future of college football. We're nearing how the sport could change. We're nearing what could be the end of something historic, I guess. The Pac-12 conference has been, in some capacity, has been around for decades and decades, if not over 100 years. So obviously Colorado's off to the Big 12. There's a belief that Arizona might be following them. There's also a belief that Brett Yormark wants UConn more than Arizona. We'll find out. They both bring mediocre football programs and really good basketball programs. So I think it just depends on the market he wants. Obviously, UConn, a little further east. Shout out to Connecticut. I lived there for a year during grad school. They have a great basketball program. They happen to be right by ESPN's headquarters. In Arizona, right in the Phoenix market, kind of geography. They make sense geographically. But either way, the Pac-12 has been receiving a lot of interest in who's going to join and kind of replace Colorado and maybe someone else, but replace Colorado, USC, and UCLA for sure. Who else they have to replace, we don't know. We're going to find that out. But here's the teams that, according to one insider, have applied for paperwork to join the conference. Now, this doesn't mean they're all going to get in. This doesn't mean that the Pac-12 is even looking at this right now. But these are the confirmed teams that have applied. So I'm going to go down and kind of give you a little tidbit about each one, and then we'll move on from there. San Diego State, as expected, they applied. They left their conference. I think they were hoping the Pac-12 would add them. Didn't work out that way, but they applied. They're still interested. I think the Pac-12 makes a lot of sense for them. I even had a player tell me that they were literally being told that they're going to the Pac-12. Hasn't happened yet. Maybe it will, though, eventually. SMU in Dallas, huge market. Program that was once I won't say blue blood, but a program that was once well respected. And I think after they got the death penalty, things changed a little bit. SMU might be the most important program in Pac-12 expansion because obviously San Diego State's great, dandy. But here's the thing. If they have to pay the $34 million to leave the Mountain West, are they going to be able to afford that? Is the Pac-12 going to want to be able to help them out? Whatever. The Mountain West doesn't want to negotiate. They already said that. So all these Mountain West programs, great fits for the conference in 2025, but leaving for 2024 could be a bit of a debacle. So the Pac-12 needs to get to at least 10 programs because I think you could be at 10 programs for 1 year. I think as long as the Pac-12 is able to round up all these schools that they're going to be adding, 1 year of 10 programs won't kill them. So SMU has a much cheaper buyout, and the American Athletic Conference is willing to negotiate. So SMU could end up being the 10th member in 2024, which would be huge for the Pac-12. So yeah, very important in my opinion. Colorado State. I think Colorado fans have taken a lot of this the wrong way, but Colorado State can kind of fill that void. And I compare them to San Diego State filling the void of USC and UCLA. Obviously not the same brands, not the same intrigue, not the same market. Well, kind of the same market. I guess you still get that Denver market, but you're not getting the same level of fan, I guess, interest. But it's kind of adjacent. And so that's why Colorado State is important. Obviously, you're not going to replace Colorado. That was a huge loss. You lost Deion Sanders, Coach Prime. You lost him. That's huge because every game that Coach Prime is going to be in is probably going to be catching a lot of eyes on television. And so to not be able to retain, obviously you're not building a conference around one person, but it would have been nice to keep one of the biggest names in college football in your conference. UNLV, they've applied. They were viewed as a long shot to join the conference. And now, with more departures, they might have a better chance. Vegas is a kind of interesting market to be in. You could do a lot of things there. They already have their conference championship stuff there, so why not? Tulane, they kind of are. I think they're pulling the old Cincinnati move. Cincinnati, obviously, they were more successful in a couple more years, but Cincinnati was trending in the right direction because of their success. And so Tulane is trying to build off their Cotton Bowl victory and maybe parlay that into a Pac-12 invite. I think that'd be interesting. I've always kind of been advocating for Tulane, but they're kind of far away. So does the Pac-12 value geography? Do they value? I know they value academics, and Tulane is one of the best academic programs in the country. So we're going to find out what the Pac-12 really values here if they're able to expand. USF, South Florida. I think this is the definition of the worst they could say is no. It's worth a shot. If Tulane's too far, I don't know what that makes South Florida. Memphis is another team that's applied, and I think, unfortunately for them, they're going to be overlooked this Power 5 expansion round just because they haven't really their market isn't one that either the Big 12 or the Pac-12 really covets. So I think maybe next time they conferences are expanding, they might get the nod, but as of right now, don't see it. Before I continue with the last couple schools, I want to thank you guys for making Locked On Buffs your first listen every day. My everydayers, you know who you are. I appreciate you guys. You comment, you like, subscribe. I appreciate all of you. Thank you guys for joining me in this journey. Let's continue to keep it going. Up next, we got Boise State. I think Boise State lacks the market. Their market ranks around 98th in the country, I think is what I wrote about yesterday. But they have that brand. Everybody knows Boise State. They know the blue field, the Smurf turf. Boise State was one of the best group of 5 programs in college football for decades. They have more 10-win seasons than they have losing seasons. So Boise State, obviously a very competitive program, and I think they'd be a solid addition. Fresno State, they don't have a market that I think the Pac-12 wants. They don't have the academics, but hey, maybe the Pac-12 gets a little desperate and takes a bigger group here, bigger swing at some other programs. This one was probably the most shocking because not once in any single discussion have I heard this school been mentioned. Tulsa. Tulsa and Oklahoma. It's worth a shot. The worst that can happen is they say no and you stay in your conference. And then to wrap it up, we have Rice, who's in the Houston market, which would be good for TVs in terms of competition wise. Rice does not bring much, if anything at all. So that's interesting. But hey, when you're in a position like you are the Pac-12, you kind of have to accept that you're not going to be bringing in the cream of the crop here. And honestly, I think a lot of people are criticizing them for Group of Five, adding Group of Five schools. That's how expansion works. It's very rare that you get to add a Power Five program. So props to the Big 12 and props to Colorado for making that happen for the Big 12. When we come back, fall camp is approaching. I'm going to talk to you guys about the few things. I'll go 4 things that I'm looking for to the most in fall camp when we come back. Welcome back. We're talking about the things that I'm looking forward to in fall camp for Colorado this upcoming month or so. Obviously, August starts tomorrow, Tuesday. Just in case you're not watching this, I'm recording this on Monday, July 31st. And there's a lot to look out for Colorado. And in about a month or so, another month, we're going to be playing college football. We're going to have some college football games happening. No more of this off-season speculation and all of this. We're going to finally start focusing on the on-field product. I'll be previewing games with someone who covers each program that Colorado plays. It's going to be great. Wanted to save those previews for closer to the season because there's no point in previewing a Week 7 game when you're 30 weeks ahead. Just kidding. I don't know how many weeks there are, but you know what I mean. Okay, so these are the things I'm looking out for in fall camp. There's 4, I would say. We'll go up first. Position battles. I could literally name 4 position battles right now, but I'm not going to do 4 position battles. I'm just going to talk about the position battles. Wide receiver, I've talked about it multiple times. I think there's 2 or 3 spots already secured. So 2 spots probably up for grabs. Does Javon Antonio get one? Does anyone else? Tavares Dawson use his speed? Jalen Ellis from Baylor, does he get one? What is Kamani McLean's role? That's one thing. The offensive line. I'll just go offensive line for now. I talked to someone who said that they've been kind of watching and looking around over there. The offensive line continues to be a big concern. I think they brought in experienced guys, but did they bring in guys that are going to learn this system and be able to perform at the level they need? Not sure. The offensive line is still a major concern, so I'd like to see some improvement there. I want to see positive notes about the offensive line. Haven't seen that yet. I think we've seen some positive notes about just about every position, but not the offensive line. Third thing, and this kind of goes for fall camp everywhere. What is the vibe of the program? I think vibes are a big thing. I think Coach Prime has kind of curated great vibes for this program, a lot of energy around it. I want to see what that looks like in fall camp. I want to see the confidence. I want to see confidence from people that watch. I want to see confidence from players, coaches, which I think they'll have. But I want to see, I want to hear more about issues. I want to hear what they're doing well. So I feel like good vibes is something I'm looking out for. And then my 4th and final thing that I'm looking out for at fall camp, a healthy fall camp. This isn't really something that you watch for. This isn't something you tune in to read about, but you notice it when it happens. If someone goes down with an injury, it's not great, especially at certain positions for this Colorado roster where they're not as deep. You definitely want everybody to stay healthy. And so you're looking to make out of fall camp with position battles settled, good vibes, and a healthy roster. And obviously, you just hope that everybody's able to avoid fluke injuries, just bad things that happen during football. It's a very violent physical sport, so things are bound to happen. But obviously, you want this team to stay healthy, so that way we could see them at full strength when the season rolls around. But yeah, those are my 4 things that I'm looking out for during fall camp: position battles, good vibes from the coaching staff, injuries. I want everybody to stay healthy. I need to see some more positives from the offensive line. Comment below what you want to see most about Colorado fall camp, because it's going to be a big one. This is going to be probably the difference between Colorado being good or not. I think if they have a really good fall camp and they see a lot more improvement with everybody that's finally on campus, because now all of the transfers are on campus, or they should be by now. If they're not, there's issues. We need to know. We just need to see them do well, and that's all Buffs fans care about. And so fall camp is going to be vital for the success this season. I'm looking forward to college football. We're almost around the corner, and you guys need to make sure to like, subscribe, and follow us over here at Locked on Buffs, so that way we can talk about everything you guys need to know. I appreciate you guys for tuning in. My name is Kevin Borba. This has been another great episode of Locked on Buffs. I appreciate you guys.